I was 20, just turned 20, and I was tricking. So I had a shaved head and I had a blonde wig on my head. I was living in San Francisco, where I'm from, and I was in this crack house. So I was at the I think it's called the Mission Hotel. It's on South Van Ness and Mission Street, and it was a pay by the week / month / hour kind of seedy place, nasty place. And I had this friend named Joe Brown, we'll put that in quotes, named Joe Brown, who had a room there, and he liked to smoke crack. And so I was making a lot of money as a call girl, and so I would bring crack rock, and I could smoke safely in his place. And I'd been smoking. At that point, the crack smoking was binging, so it would be 3, 4, 5 days in a row, no sleeping, no food, no water, just smoking around the clock. We'd smoke up thousands of dollars. So I was there, and I'd been there all weekend, and now it was a Tuesday morning. There was a couple kicking heroin over to my left, so they were kind of shaking like fish on a boat dock, just like quivering and detoxing, and Joe Brown was passed out. There were still crack rocks on the table, so it wasn't that we were out of drugs, but it was Tuesday morning now, maybe 9 or 10 a.m., and I just had I had the most significant moment of my entire life. I was sitting there, and nothing special happened, except suddenly I became aware, just aware. And I remembered my dreams of going to Harvard and getting a PhD when I was a little kid, and who I was and the life I was living suddenly was clear to me. And it hadn't been any choices that had led me there. It was sort of like this creeping non-choice of just sliding into this life that had happened. And then this knowing came, big, full knowing, where suddenly it was clear that if I did not get up and get out of there right that second, that was all I was ever going to be.
You'd be trapped there.
In cycles of getting clean and relapsing and using and drugs, and forever and ever and ever, that was going to be my life, that was the moment.
You're 20?
I was 20.
Wow.
And I grabbed my jacket and I walked out the door. And I went over to this guy's house where I was crashing sometimes. I slept, I showered, I put on my makeup, I put on my wig, I was ready to go for the day. I put my pager on my hip, it was 1994, put my pager on my hip, and I was ready to go back out and trick. And I just thought that I was gonna not use drugs anymore. That was my my game. I was not gonna use drugs anymore.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go right back to the life and not use drugs.